right on time per usual. All right, I'll go ahead and mute myself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on Managing Up, the art of leading your boss for career and team success. I'm Marisa Stoltzfus, an HR leader, and we are excited to talk about this series. This is week 2 of a 5-week series, and it's a great TGIF boost. So today's session takes us and brings you a little twist with regard to HR. Leading the conversation is founder and CEO of Management Cues, Dr. Myra Austin. So let's get to it. We have 30 minutes, Dr. Myra. What's on your mind?
You're on my mind. So I'm just overjoyed to be sharing space with you again. She's our co-host today. And so before we move on, because our emphasis today is on the HR piece, could you just give us just a bite-sized look at what your role has been, your experiences has been, and how it relates to career development and managing up? And then I'll get right to it, I promise.
Yeah, so I've been involved in HR for over 30 years. I started in organizational development, right? So this is the talent strategy portion of HR, sometimes considered the not as important part of HR, but my goodness, it really is, especially in today's day and age. So my experience has been looking at processes such as performance management, career and leadership development, career paths, succession planning, training and development, right? So all of those combine to help people improve their skills and advance their careers.
Yeah, excellent. So the reason why I wanted her to share is not just because I'm immensely proud of partnering with her on so many cool things, but because I feel like this component of HR goes underutilized.
Absolutely.
And so as an operator and as a professional that was always hungry and eager to figure out the formula, I did. And part of figuring out the formula was learning how to strategically partner, which is the primary component of managing up and doing it in a skillful, almost even artful way. So anyway, thank you, Marisa, for that. And I'll go ahead and get us going. And then we'll bounce back and forth because that's how we do. And we're going to have a blast doing it. So I'm Dr. Myra Austin. I'm the CEO and founder of Management Cues, as Marisa mentioned. I'll just briefly say this. We're a unique management and leadership training company. We're scientifically proven to work. We're backed by amazing, amazing professionals, which we'll share at the end. And we're doing amazing things. So just check it out. If you're just curious or want to know more, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer your questions. But we're doing some amazing things in training that have never been done before. Okay, so today we are going to look at kind of the second portion of managing up. Last week, we focused on introducing you to what it really means and kind of fundamentally defining it for you. Today, we're going to take a look at how to strategically partner in your environment, specifically when it comes to HR, and how that actually lends to managing up with your leader. And so we're going to talk about what role that plays in your career growth. We're going to talk about shifting your mindset from transactional to strategic. When I was young, I'm naturally very transactional, period, right? So very much a part of who I am. And Marisa knows, she's worked with me on several different occasions. And so being more strategic required a little practice. It also required a lot of self-awareness on my part. And it also required flexibility, which is not necessarily natural to me. So a lot of what brought me to this point is definitely not how I got started. And so I like to share that because this is the miss that I see in the workforce. This is the gap, right? We'll talk about common HR relationship mistakes, opportunities that we miss. And I can't wait to hear from Marisa on this end because she's the gatekeeper of this, right? So tools for having the appropriate type of conversations. And then what does it mean to be a culture translator, a connector, right? How do you leverage that? And then we'll go ahead and take it all the way through to creating safety around these areas in case you're scared, in case this is intimidating, which it can be, and in case you're just not that outgoing and maybe that's your limiting factor or overtly extrovert, right? Trust me, no matter what your personality or communication style, every single one has limitations. And so it's just moving through them and feeling more confident about it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for today.
Very good.
Yes, I can't wait. And I can't get more excited than I am sharing space with you today. So managing up to navigate the workplace. So when you're navigating the workplace, it's having a focus on building strong, intentional relationships. This is not a friendship type of relationship necessarily, and it's with leadership, right? So it's upward. It's aligning your work with team and organizational priorities. It's making the connection from A to Z. So that's where it requires a little bit of discipline and focus. It's adapting your communication style to support mutual goals. And I can tell you that sometimes we're familiar with our goals, but we're not familiar with our leaders' goals, right? Or maybe we haven't defined our goals but we know what they want, right? So it's this connection, this fine dance that we do in between. It's increasing your visibility and showcasing your contributions. So to me, that's a gap in the workplace, depending on personality and communication style. Sometimes it's easy for us to be vocal. It's easy for us to be seen, but are we doing it in a way that's intentional? Are we doing it in a way that's memorable? Sometimes we're introverts and we don't know how to show up. We want to be seen. We have a desire maybe to be seen, but we're uncomfortable with being vocal. We're uncomfortable with coming off a certain way, right? So either way, as you can tell, there's a limitation and a missed opportunity, no matter what your disposition is. It's earning trust by being reliable, proactive, and solutions focused. So it's defining what that looks like in that environment and for you, between you and your leader, which means you have to know what the definition of your leader is around reliability, being proactive, and being solutions focused. Managing up is never one-sided, and that's what makes it so strategic. Anything to add to that, Marisa?
I do. So one of the things that I would suggest is it's a mindset, right? You have to have a certain mindset. And whether you're nervous about having conversations with your manager or you think it's a tough conversation, think of your manager as your customer. If you think of your manager as your customer, you can have a different mindset about how you approach and have managing up types of conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the role of HR in career growth. So I learned this later on, maybe 10 years into my career. And then I started to notice that there was a different pace that I was able to acquire when it came to getting promoted or getting into the role that I wanted. And so it was a realization that I had of the role that HR plays. And so I realized they're the career development advocate. So they need to know what I'm doing. So, which means I have to get to know them. They're the culture translator and connector. They understand what's happening with the culture. They're the coaching and feedback resource. And I realized at that moment when the light bulb finally went off that I wasn't asking for coaching and feedback. So I wasn't applying things and I wasn't picking the low hanging fruit. If anything, I was only going to them for problems. And that is a huge miss. Their performance and talent planning, meaning that if I really wanted a career track, if I really wanted a path, I needed them to be there with my manager and leader. They're the enabler of visibility. Nobody will sound the horn faster and put you in front of leadership faster than an HR resource. Safe space and strategy. They enable that because their role is not directly above you. They're a central role, which means that lack of safety that we sometimes feel with our leader, they can mitigate. And so this is sitting in the gap. If you're not capitalizing on these things, you're getting in your own way. How's that?
Yeah, so
for validation.
Yeah, great HR leaders are not only there to keep the organization compliant and safe and to support leadership. They're great HR leaders are there to take care of all employees, right? And to your point, Dr. Myra, great HR leaders know the culture and in some cases, the politics of your organization, right? So this is important so that you don't misstep, and HR can help influence direction. So, you're spot on as usual.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. And not just you as the person, but as an HR leader, because I've seen you in practice. I've also had the opportunity to work with some other amazing HR resources, and I have seen people remain in the gap, but yet desire mobility or desire promotions or desire to be seen and do absolutely nothing with this resource that is right there for the picking, right? So that's really what this is about. So the role of managing up in career growth. So we talked about HR and how they can help you with career growth. Here's the go-between in terms of managing up. So it opens doors to advancement by showcasing leadership readiness and strategic thinking. It builds trust and credibility with decision makers who influence your trajectory of growth. And there's just no way around it. Is that influence piece is kind of the sauce, right? That's the secret sauce. It increases visibility across the organization, leading to more opportunities around leadership, and it strengthens mentorship and sponsorship. When somebody sponsors you, it's worth gold because that person is saying, I'm putting my reputation on the line that this person is worth it, right? And so that type of an exchange is everything. Right. So positions you as a proactive contributor. right? Somebody who's lending to impact, not just somebody who is doing things, which is very different. What's your take on that, Marisa?
You have to perform, right? You want to build your credibility. If you want to increase your visibility, if you want to be sponsored or be thought of, you have to bring it. You have to perform, right? And not just meet expectations. You need to think about how you can exceed expectations. And you don't have to exceed expectations in everything, but man, you do have to bring it so that you can open these doors for yourself.
And the managing up component is having somebody get to know you and you get to know them so that they could speak to these things authentically. And the challenge is that when we don't use managing up as a strategy for career growth, people don't actually know us and they don't know how to speak to how we're contributing.
And then
So
they don't think of you either.
no, because they don't know how to articulate it. So think about this, right? Right now, as you sit listening to this, ask your boss if you have enough of a relationship to ask, how would you define my contribution? And if they can't answer you, I'm sorry to tell you, they don't know you.
Well, if
Right?
you have a really good performance management process in place, you're having these conversations, right? They're happening at least once a month. That's what I propose when I work with companies around performance management. You should know where you stand at any given point.
Yeah. And that question to me is a great question to ask because it should be what you want them to say. And if it's not, that's the bridge that you need to build.
Yep.
So it's just a quick gauge, right? To see if these one-on-ones that Marisa is talking about are actually working, right? Because you could be having them and they might not be working.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So shifting the mindset from transactional to strategic. So like I mentioned at the beginning, being transactional, the checklist, getting things done, boy, is that my muscle, right? So that's me as an operations person. What I needed to leverage, though, was my relationship skill, my empathy, my self-awareness, my ability to effectively communicate and understand it was a two-way street. Those were the things that really were challenging me as a young professional. And it took a lot of discipline. As Marisa likes to say, the school of the hard knock, I learned a lot the hard way, right? Which is why I'm able to do what I do now because I understand where people are coming from. So what it means to shift from transactional to strategic means managing up is allowing you to shift to not just report up. That's transactional, but collaborate up. That's engagement. It's different. Okay. When you're engaged, you're exchanging something and it's of value. It's anticipating needs and offering solutions. It's being a partner, not just an employee. So when you're in a partnership, it's a whole different feeling, right? I don't consider Marisa my team member. I consider her my partner. I consider us having an exchange of value. And that's what you guys get when we train, when we interact. It's that. It's being a partner. It's very different. And anybody can be a partner to anyone.
And you can do it at any point, right? It doesn't have to be in a one-on-one. It can be in a team meeting. It can be in all different settings depending on how you present yourself. So you present yourself with positivity. You present yourself with ideas. You present yourself with team cross team collaboration. And that's what helps open doors.
Yeah. So it's a question, right? These questions are not in the deck. So make sure to write them down or take note. But it's this asking yourself this question. Do I see myself as a partner? Because sometimes it's us. We see ourselves as employees. We see ourselves as reporters. Mm-hmm. We put ourselves in a bucket where we feel like we cannot partner because we feel like we're not sophisticated enough. We feel like we don't have the authority. And I know I'm preaching right now, but I know I'm right. I've been there, or we think that we're just not good enough to have that type of an elevated relationship with somebody because they're an executive, because they're a leader, because they have more knowledge, whatever it is. I'm here to tell you that is a fallacy you are telling yourself and believing. Okay. Because it's absolutely not true. Okay, so building that partnership mindset. So it's easy enough to say it. It's It's easy enough to ask yourself that question. The hard part is being honest. But here's how you do it. Okay. Communicate clearly and often. Seek alignment, not approval. That is so important. I should have bolded it because we do things because we want to be accepted, we want to be acknowledged, and then that equates approval. Somebody who's going to succeed and navigate in the workforce moves beyond that. They're looking to contribute, to lend impact, and move way past approval. So midway through my career, I learned this, and it completely changed the dynamic of not only my impact, but how I presented myself, and and actually changed how I think believed would be the best word. I believed my contribution was worthwhile. It changed the way I saw myself, and that's what led to these higher type of relationship. It brings insights, not just problems. Right? So you're contributing what you've learned, what you've known, what you've observed that the leader has not, because they're too busy. They don't have insight to everything. So that assumption needs to be automatically removed. Actually, that's an easy way for you to know what kind of impact you can lend, knowing what insights you have that they don't, that are worth putting out there. Be solution oriented and resourceful, right? And show them how you're doing that. So Marisa, anything on that end?
Yeah, in today's day and age, management is more receptive to ideas, right? It wasn't always like that. I've been in the workforce 40 years, and it has changed drastically. We're looking for the employee voice. Great HR leaders will help you with your tactics, right? If you need help, some of the things that I suggest, always write down what your intention is, where you want to go, and how you want to get there. Bring those ideas to HR, let HR coach you through it. Great HR leaders. Keep in mind, I keep saying great HR leaders, because there are a lot of HR leaders out there who themselves don't know how to do what we're preaching to you about right now, right? But great HR leaders will coach you through. They'll help you write your intentions down. They'll help you practice your conversations so that you can interject. They'll even identify, great HR leaders will identify the opportunities where you can bring this partnership mindset to the table. But keep in mind, you have to take the actions. You have to step into what Dr. Myra is sharing with you.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the call out, because we want to be realistic. Part of what Management Cues does is we focus on the experience that you are having. So, and that's what we care about, right? Not necessarily just imparting knowledge. And so if this is something that your HR leader doesn't do, have this lesson be one of awareness, right? Where you understand the resource of that you have at the table and what their limitations might be. Right. And you can always email us and ask us questions. We're happy to help. We're here for you. But this is a way to distinguish, do you have a great HR leader or not? And if you don't, you can actually manage up and maybe get them there.
Yeah. And Dr. Myra, you tell me all the time, mentors, right? Seek mentors if you don't have the HR support that you think you need.
Yeah. And mentorship should never stop. So I have 5 different mentors that I go to and bug all the time, because this is how we learn. And we're never done learning. And so if you don't have a mentor, get yourself one, because it's absolutely necessary. As you grow, as you navigate, you come across different stretches of your professionalism, right? So common HR relationship mistakes. So these mistakes I've seen, done, or continue to see in the workforce, and that's why I bring them up. So only contacting HR when there's a problem. That builds a reactive, not proactive relationship. So this is me telling you, here's how you're doing it wrong. Overlooking HR as a strategic partner. Misses out on mentorship, growth opportunities, and career insights, which is exactly what Marisa just called out. If your HR leader isn't doing this, maybe they need some help too, right? And maybe if you recognize it, maybe you can start by managing up. Right? That requires no authority. It's pure leadership and relationship based. Failing to follow up or close the loop. It undermines trust and consistency in professional communication. So stay on top of those little things, because they chip away at relationship. Assuming HR is just for compliance or policy. It limits collaboration on culture, performance, and development initiatives. They have more to do with your operational well-being than probably any other role outside of your operations leader. They are a centralized role, much like operations. Not seeking feedback or guidance early misses the chance to course correct before issues escalate. If you're not mitigating your own career development risk, you're again getting in your own way. How do you feel about these relationship mistakes with HR, Marisa?
But they're spot on. I mean, we sometimes we're a little afraid of HR, right? And great HR leaders are out there. They're getting to know their organizations. They're talking not just to the leaders, but to the employees, the individual contributors of their functions that they're assigned to. Or if you're in a small organization like I am, everybody needs to be connected with HR. So it can be overwhelming for HR leaders, but really, lean into your HR leaders to help you if, in fact, you are looking for career advancement, career goals. Get your coaching, get your insights from them, and don't be afraid to give HR feedback. Right? We're just people, and sometimes we misstep. So helping us understand what works for you makes a difference as well.
Yeah, and just to chime in, if your HR leader is overwhelmed, I'll tell you what I did as a young professional that was a game changer. I would take them out to lunch. I would buy them a gift. I would take them out for coffee. I would, and I see you, Marisa, but it's about if you're overwhelmed, be strategic about finding a moment with them.
Yeah.
And go ahead, you can express your concerns. I know there's guidelines, but when somebody is overwhelmed, they're overwhelmed. And if you need their insights and that's your resource, you have to get strategic about it.
No, I don't have anything to rebut on that one, Dr. Myra.
I just think sometimes our excuse is when we have the problem of being too nice, our excuse is they're too busy. They're overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And the strategy goes out the door. And guess what? So does your career mobility. Yeah. So you have to understand what you're giving up and you have to gauge it. You have to stay on top of it because you're either going to get it or you're not. And you're your biggest advocate. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So managing up for career conversations. So having the managing up career conversations, that's where it gets confusing for folks. So come prepared with goals, know where you want to grow and how it aligns with the team or company priorities. Showcase your impact. Use metrics, outcomes, and feedback to demonstrate your value and readiness for more. And the feedback is not your feedback. It's feedback from others, right? And they have to be willing to sign off and speak up for it. Right? It's not you saying that somebody said something. It's them officially saying, I'm willing to say this on your behalf. Ask for clarity, not permission. We tend, especially if we're women, to ask permission more than we need to. Okay. And that sends a message. Okay. Position career conversations as collaboration, not dependency. The partnership conversation is more like this. Hey, I'd like to partner with you on this. Asking permission is, I would like to please know if you're able to have a conversation with me. That's asking for permission. Mm-hmm. Being intentional and saying we're on the equal field, we're both brilliant, we're both strategic, let's get something done. That's a whole different vibe. Align your growth and leadership needs. Highlight your development benefits, the organization, not just you. Be able to speak how your development is actually going to have a return on investment. Follow up with intention. Summarize takeaways, commit to the next steps, and keep the momentum going. It's up to you to keep the momentum going if you're the one strategically managing up. Look at that smile. What do you have to say?
I mean, it's just spot on. And this fourth statement, like highlight how your development benefits the organization. Those can be soft benefits as well as bottom line benefits. So just keep that in mind. And as always, Dr. Myra, this is really good. Really good.
Thanks to the amazing team behind all of us. But here's the thing, right? Marisa says such brilliant things, and I want to make sure the nuance is caught, right? So she said soft outcomes. That could be like, this training helped me improve my relationship with X person. That's a benefit that's qualitative. It's not going to be reflected on the bottom line directly, but it will indirectly.
And you can add a dollar value to that, right? You know, you can think about that a little bit differently in terms of how much time have I put into this? What is it taking to build that relationship? And you can quantify that with your hourly rate.
Yeah. And as a company that quantifies everything, we do this in training, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you train with us, we'll show you what it looks like, but it's absolutely a thing. So culture translator and connector. And I know we're at 2 minutes, so we might go a little bit longer. So just warning you there, that happens when we're having too much fun, Marisa and I. HR understands the company's leadership culture and priorities. They can help employees align their communication and performance in leadership expectations. HR often acts as the bridge between employees and leadership by providing insight into what decision makers value. So if you're not stepping on that bridge to get to the other side, you're not using them correctly.
Yeah, great HR leaders have a fabulous holistic view of the function or the company.
Yeah. So going into that coaching and feedback resource, HR can coach employees on how to have effective upward communication, particularly during interviews or difficult conversations. They often run or provide access to leadership training, coaching sessions, or learning portals. They may have access to information or resources that you just simply aren't aware about, and they are. So performance and talent planning. This is where I got the most benefit of learning how to partner as a young professional. HR participates in talent calibration and succession planning. How you show up in your relationship with leadership can affect how you're perceived in these reviews. Regardless, there's some presence there. Managing up well means you're more likely to be tagged as high potential or leadership track. That only happens when people see you and understand your contribution. So it can't happen without these connectors.
Yeah, now HR is an influencer in this case, not a decision maker.
Correct. So think of it like an influencer on Instagram, right?
Exactly.
Like they're talking about something because they have knowledge around something, right? So enabling visibility, HR can recommend or place employees into cross-functional projects, task forces, and high visibility assignments where managing up becomes essential. They could position you for something, then it's up to you to manage up and make it happen. These opportunities are great testing grounds for showing how well you partner with leadership. Again, if they don't know you and your contribution, because it's both, they can't do this effectively. They might take a chance on you because they notice some things. That's not the same as knowing exactly what you bring to the table and what your capacity and capability look like. That's strategic. Okay, so don't leave it up to chance. Save space for strategy. So one of the other things that I've found very reinforcing with the great HR leaders in my career was that you can use them as a sounding board because of the role that they play. So here's what I'm working on with my manager. Do you think this approach is effective? Right? They will tell you what they think and they'll let you know if you're out of line or hitting some boundaries. HR can help role play or refine communication to better align with a manager style or company culture. Anything else to add? Because you're really good at this part.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's exactly what I would suggest.
It's because she loves it that it's so good. She's really good at that part. So here we're at the key takeaways. So Marisa, do you want to take us to the key takeaways?
Sure. Effective managing up relies on forming strong partnerships with colleagues. You want to leverage your resources strategically to amplify your impact. Career mobility hinges on your ability to navigate the broader organizational landscape. And keep in mind that HR plays a central role in providing resources designed to attract, retain, and support talent. All right. Without time for questions, and as always, these sessions are jam-packed with information. Dr. Myra, do you want to share anything before we close out?
I just think it's really important to leverage the resources around us and think about them in a different way and shift our mindset, not only around who we are, what we contribute, or what we want, but to really understand what each function of each role is there to do,
Very
right?
good. Yep.
And that as professionals, we're valuable. And so we should see ourselves like that first, and then we're able to do everything else.
Very good. All right. So I mentioned that this is the second of a 5-week series for a TGIF boost. If you've missed the first session or can't participate in all 5, you can find these sessions on YouTube. So do a search for Management Cues and you'll get that information. We're also on the web. If you want more information about what Management Cues offers, please do some research. See what we have to offer, and the links, of course, this slide deck will be available for you to do that research. So I guess we're closing out until next Friday, next TGIF boost. So have a great weekend, everybody, and take control of your career. Manage up.
Yeah, manage up. And then just as a last thought, we are currently providing all kinds of programs. You have this list linked to your deck and you'll receive it. But one thing that we're extremely excited about before we say goodbye, our final goodbyes, we are now crowdfunding to scale Management Cues up, because that's where we're at in the stage of business with I Fund Women by Honeycomb Credit. So check out that campaign. We're being fully backed by some amazing women funders out there, because it's time for us to take our scientifically proven approach to the next level. So with that, Marisa, thank you so much for joining
You're
us.
welcome.
You've been amazing. And until next time, guys.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.